Hey guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Today's Monday. I'm coming on a little later. I hoped to come on last night, but got home a little later and things didn't work out. And this morning I slept in a little bit, so I didn't get the podcast done. And I uh, I had hoped to have a couple of guests today, but it didn't work out, so that's fine. Um, we can do this on our own. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And today we're going to talk about Um, the men's game, Iowa winning against Purdue for the Big Ten tournament title, which was great, fantastic. We're gonna hit the brackets for both the men and the women, and what I think a little bit about it. It's just my personal opinion, and not to be taken as gospel. Okay, so let's start with the first of all, thank you. Um, we've got a Facebook page, Iowa Hawkeye Sports, that I started. I had admins with Terry Christensen and Paul Monogram. But we're at 2,000 people, guys, and still counting. Uh, we added over 100 in the last 24 hours alone. So thank you for coming on here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for following us. It means we must be doing something right. We just ask you guys to share the page with your other Hawkeye fans, even your Cyclone friends. I've shared it with many of my Cyclone friends, but none of them have yet to accept. But you guys, if you're watching, you can still accept. Um, so yeah, do that. Just and once you get to the YouTube channel here, hit the subscribe button. Help me get. I mean, there's two. I got 2,000 followers on this. We have 2,000 followers on this Facebook page. So could we get half of you to hit that subscribe button and follow us on YouTube? So that would be great. My first goal is to hit 1,000 people in that group, but I got a ways to go. I think we're at 26, 27, somewhere in there. So we got a long ways to go. But if I can get half of you guys to hit that subscribe button, that would be fantastic. All right, let's get right to it. Iowa men win by 9 points. 75-66. I think I'm going off memory. Okay. Iowa won and beat Purdue despite the fact, and I don't have to tell you guys this because you guys all watched the game, despite the fact that they didn't really play their best game. Um, the threes weren't dropping as like they were the last couple of games. I think it's just tired legs. I think everybody would agree that they had tired legs. But what I liked about Iowa, I mean, because they got out rebounded, Purdue shot better. I do know we won the category in steals, so that helped, in the turnovers. So we helped that. We helped ourselves there. Um, but you know what I thought the key was is when they brought a Gundele and Riley McCulby off the bench, and yeah, and Joe Toussaint. They they pumped some energy into this team. You know, I mean, not that we weren't ahead already, but Gundele showed us all something yesterday that we are all hoping to get from him, and he gave us positive quality minutes. And I know our buddy Jason Hackwell, he probably has the metrics, but he always does the plus and the minus. I'm going to guess that under Gundele has some pluses in his has a plus score in his thing. Jason, let me know if that's true, because I didn't see you post any of those plus minus metrics this time. So, but yeah, I mean, he scores, got a couple of rebounds, and what was most impressive is Edie trying to move a Gundele. I thought that was so fun. Gundele wasn't giving an inch. He didn't give an inch, and Edie just keeps bumping and bumping and bumping and can't move him, and finally Edie gets called for the foul. and so that was one of the best things. But the thing is I was looking at that and I'm going, how is Edie not getting called for fouls? He's all over our guys. But I heard a podcast from the Morning Rush this morning on KXNO, and their theory was is because Edie's so tall at 7'4", he doesn't have to leave the floor. He doesn't have to jump the floor to pull these rebounds down. So is he really going over the back of somebody if he's not jumping? He's just standing there grabbing the ball, you know, because it looked like he was over the back a lot of times and pushing people away but he's not really jumping. I mean, he's so much taller than everybody. So maybe that's the reason why we didn't see as many fouls called on him as I thought we should have. Because honestly, I just thought he was all over our guys. But the truth is he didn't have to jump up and do anything. So maybe he gets a break for staying on his feet and doing that. I don't know what the referees are thinking there. Okay, but that to me was probably my favorite moment of the game when Gundele would not give an inch to Edie on that one. That was probably my favorite moment of Gundele's thing. Um, yeah, and then he took the three. I knew when he started to take the three, I go, man, gosh, you airball free throws. Don't try to take a 3-point shot. And of course, he airballed it and came up short. But that's fine. At least he took it. At least he was trying to do something positive for the team. Riley McCulvey did the same thing. He took a three. I didn't even know if he's even considered a 3-point threat. But at least he hit the rim when he did it. And so yeah, so those guys gave positive minutes, and I just like Joe Toussaint's attitude lately with the team. He's embracing his new role. And I just like the way when he comes off the bench, how much energy he's bringing in and things. And he doesn't seem to be over dribbling as much as he used to. I think, his time on the bench, he's learning, let's move the ball quickly. The ball goes through you, but you got to move it quickly and get to the next person, find the person that you need to. And, and I know that J-Bo didn't have quite the game that he's been having all tournament yesterday, but he and he didn't play a lot, I don't think. I don't have the minutes here in front of me, but I don't think he played a lot, but he was in the game when we needed him, and he provided, the thing. And you know what, guys? You can talk about his defense all you want, but it's improved greatly. It has, you know. Um and so but yeah, I just couldn't believe, I just didn't think Iowa played one of its better games, but it still beat a Purdue team that's beaten them twice this year. And I don't know. Iowa just wanted it more. Iowa gritted it out, gutted it out. Coach Fran went very deep into his bench. He did what he had to do, and I think some of that helped. I mean, having fresh legs in there, And what can you say about Perkins? I mean, Tony Perkins is he's just coming into his own. And I can remember when Nolan and I did the NHA podcast right after they signed Perkins, Aaron Eulis, the Murray twins, and Ungundale. People were complaining that Fran needed to be fired. That if he couldn't um, recruit anybody better than that, none of these guys had any Division One offers that I can remember of. Um, but I wanted to do, because everybody was complaining so much, so I wanted to do a piece on them. And so I did a little research, went through their high school stats, looked everything up on them and just kind of read up about them. And we went on the podcast and I went through each player. And the first thing I would remember telling Nolan was, Fran got a steal with these guys. Nobody else wanted him. He probably didn't have to work that hard to get him, because these guys all wanted Division One power conference schools to go to, and if Iowa's your only Power 5 program offering you, you're probably going to give a serious look at it. I don't know I don't want to say it was easy for him, because I don't know how easy it was, but these guys were overlooked, and then you find out that the Murray twins were being shopped around, to all the Division One coaches in the Big Ten, and McCaffrey's the only one that said yes. You know, I wonder today how many Big Ten coaches are sorry they said no, that they didn't want anything to do with them. But I was the one that said, just get back to my story. I'm the one that said that these guys are going to be good. These guys are going to be good. You know, and we even predicted that one of the Murray twins would and Luke Garza's last year at Iowa, that one of the Murray twins, I thought one of them will get off the bench and play a lot, which that turned out to be Keegan. If I remember right, I think I was thinking it was Chris, but no, it was Keegan. I think Keegan was the one I meant, because I don't remember back then, but I'd have to go back and watch the tape. But anyway, I said one of them will get off the bench and play quite a bit, and you know what happened. He played a lot and he developed, and this year he came back and he had a better season than even Luka Garza had. And let's talk about that Luka Garza led team and how many accolades that they were supposed to have. They were supposed to win the Big Ten. They were supposed to win the Big Ten tournament. They were supposed to, make it to at least the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, or maybe possibly Final Four with that team, with that talent that they had. So they lose Luka. Okay. Oh, by the way, they went 22-9, but in all fairness, they were short about 3 or 4 games that they would have played in a normal season because of COVID. But they went 22-9, and so at the end of the season, Luka leaves. He uses up his eligibility and leaves for the NBA draft. Joe Wieskamp also leaves for the NBA. They both made a great decision. They're both playing in the NBA. Okay. In a not so surprising move, we lost. Oh gosh, Nudgy. We lost Nudgy. We could have used him this year. I think we would have been a better team this year. I think a couple of the games that we lost, we would have won if Nudgy had been there. And Nudgy looks like he stayed healthy for Xavier, and he had a great year for Xavier. But I don't think they're in the tournament bracket, guys. I don't see Xavier anywhere. So, but Nunji did it. I think, for what I was told, that's about Xavier's about 3 hours from his home, and he left. He left and transferred with Fran's good graces. Fran was on board and let him go, and that's fine. We missed Nunji. We all loved him, and we all know what his capabilities were. And so he's gone. So we lost him. And then a surprise move that had been rumored, but C.J. Frederick leaving for Kentucky, which, to this day, nobody knows the real reason why he left, why he left a situation that he was already a guaranteed starter in. We know that he'd been battling injuries at Iowa, and apparently he battled injuries this year at Kentucky. I don't even know if he's even played a game yet at Kentucky. Okay. And so we lost CJ. So anyway, we lost basically, 4 excellent players, and this year's team, there wasn't high expectations. I think the media, coaches voted Iowa 8th or 9th in the Big Ten at the preseason. I was among those who didn't think Iowa. I thought the ceiling was maybe a 500 record at the best. In our league play, and I thought we would probably lose a couple of more non-conference games than we did. We actually won more than I thought we would, and so this team now is at 25-9. This record, with the chance to add a couple of more wins to it coming up. I believe that this team as a whole is better than last year's team that was had high accolades and high everything else last year and high expectations. This is a team that's better. This team works together. They do the things they have to do, and I like the way Keegan doesn't force anything. He lets the game come to him. And I noticed that in the game yesterday. He was struggling to get a shot off. His 3-pointers weren't going down. They just told him to keep shooting. He wasn't able to drive to the rim as much as he'd like to. And when he did, some of those shots wouldn't drop for him. But I like the way he just didn't force anything. He found the guys that, if he wanted to take a shot and it wasn't there, he found a guy to get it to. Um, and I'd be interested in how many assists he had, if he had any, yesterday. But so this year's team plays as a team. They're unselfish. Nobody's the actual wants to be like, it's me, it's me, it's me, because even though Keegan is the guy on the team this year, and we probably don't win a bunch of those games without him, the one thing I do say is Keegan is still unselfish. He's still not demanding the ball all the time, because he understands that he has to play within his game, and if his game isn't there, somebody else needs to step up. And so that's what it's so cool about this year's team. I told you I came on this podcast and I had him for dead. I had him for dead after the Penn State loss. I forgave him for the Rutgers loss because everybody else was losing to Rutgers too. Although I wasn't happy about it, and only scoring 46 points. We could have scored more in that game, which we proved that we could do when we played them the second time in the tournament and beat them. But the thing is I thought they just played themselves out of the tournament. Everybody has them in the tournament, but now they've lost to Penn State. And so now they've played themselves out. And what does Iowa do? They go on a run after that. Only team that they've lost to in this run, or during that run, was Michigan. And then later on, it was Illinois. Illinois, the last game of the season. So what are they? We're 12-2, 13-2 since the Penn State game. That's amazing, guys. Those guys did an excellent job of coming back, of turning things around, and good for them, because right there in the middle of the season, when they lost 4 or 5 games out of 5, I thought this team was dead in the water and was ready to play themselves into the NIT, and they proved me wrong. Fran did an excellent job bringing Jabo back to the point guard worked. And so congratulations to your 2022 Big Ten tournament champions, the men. And it doesn't go unnoticed by anybody. And they finally said it on TV, because nobody else was saying it, that the women also won their Big Ten tournament, but they were also co-champs of the regular season too, of the Big Ten. And so congratulations to both the men and the women in their tournament winnings. And let's go. All right, let's talk about the brackets, okay? So Iowa is matched up on Thursday afternoon at 2:10 on True TV against Richmond. Ironic. Doesn't anybody else think it's ironic that they're matched up against Richmond, the team that just won their game before Iowa played theirs? Man, I would have paid more close attention to that game if I'd known we were going to end up with Richmond of all teams. So I don't know much about Richmond yet. I haven't had a chance to really study them. I hear that they give up the rebounds. I hear that but they're not turnover prone. Things like that. But Iowa this shouldn't even be a contest. Iowa should just run away with that. Okay. Waiting for them would be the winner of the Providence South Dakota State game. Didn't we beat South Dakota State earlier this year? Or am I wrong? I could be wrong on that. Or maybe it was South Dakota. I thought we played a South Dakota State team. Or maybe that was a year ago. Maybe that was last year. Anyway, they're 30-4. And I think they went undefeated in their league. Okay. So they seem to be a pretty dangerous team. So I think at this point, I would like Iowa to play Providence and not South Dakota State, because it sounds like to me like if they play South Dakota State to be the first team to 100 wins, it's going to be up and down. And, sometimes those kind of games can get scary because, you get up and down and run fast, and all of a sudden maybe you're not getting the points like you want to. Not that I think Iowa's a great half-court team, because I really don't think I think they're more better in the transition and the run and game. I just don't like the half-court game when they have to burn seconds off the clock. That's when they create turnovers and get bad shots. But I don't want Iowa to get in that kind of a game either. But I just don't know if who I want to win. My gut tells me in the brackets that South Dakota State's going to beat Providence. But however, because of my desire and want to and not wanting to play South Dakota State, I picked Providence to beat South Dakota State. Okay. And so then I would have Iowa winning that game against Providence. So who would they meet? Well, they would meet the winner of the Kansas bracket, which would include Kansas beating play-in team, which they will. Then there's San Diego State and Creighton. I went back and forth on this one, guys. You guys remember? I think it was a year ago. San Diego State beat us in what turned out to be a really good San Diego State team. They beat us early in the season, I believe, or was it that the year before? It could have been the year before. I'm losing track now. I'm starting to run all these teams together. But anyhow, so San Diego State, Creighton. I took Creighton in this game, guys. I don't know why, but I took Creighton. I think Creighton demolished Providence in the Big East game. Even though Creighton has a lower seed, they demolished Providence in that. So I'm going to go with Creighton, and I'm going to go with Kansas to beat Creighton. Okay, so that leaves Iowa, Kansas. I don't know anything about Kansas this year, except the fact that they 28-6. And Kansas traditionally, if they have a number one seed, they're traditionally a fairly good team. But they did lose 6 games, so they're beatable. So I'm not going to pick against Iowa on this one. I'm going to pick Iowa anyway, because even though I don't know anything about it. Okay, so now Iowa beats Kansas to get to the Sweet 16. Who are they going to meet in the Sweet 16, or is that the Elite 8? Okay, I'm getting confused. 1, 2, 16. Oh, this would be the Elite 8. Okay, the Elite 8. Okay, so who's Iowa going to beat? Okay, all right. Now you go to the bottom half of that bracket to find out who we're going to meet. Okay, LSU and Iowa State play. Iowa State's 11th. LSU is a 6. I went with ISU in this. I mean, they were pretty impressive in their win against Iowa early in the season, and I know that Iowa State's had some struggles here and there, but they still won 20 games. And if Iowa State can play like they did against Iowa, they'll beat LSU. It won't even be a contest. So I took ISU thinking that that Fred Hoiberg would have this team ready. No, it's not Fred Hoiberg. He's on Nebraska. Oh, anyway, okay, but I think the coach, because I know who that coach is. I can't think of his name now. He's had some pro experience. He actually, the Iowa pro team that he coached them for a while, and he's a really good coach. But anyway, he'll have them ready for LSU. So they're going to beat ISU is going to beat LSU, and then they meet the winner of Wisconsin and Colgate. Guys, I'm just going to give that one to Wisconsin. I don't like Wisconsin, but I'm going to give that game to Wisconsin. And then between those two, I'm going to pick ISU to win that game. Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's too deliberate, and I think once ISU gets rebounding and running, Wisconsin's not going to be able to keep up with them. I really do. I think Wisconsin's one of the luckiest teams in the Big Ten to get the record that they had. They earned they own the co-championship in the regular season. They earned it because they won the games. But they beat the metrics. They did things like they should not have been able to do this year. But anyway, so I'm going to give that win between Wisconsin and ISU. And then the other half of that bracket, USC, Miami, I give it to USC. And then Auburn and Jacksonville State, I give it to Auburn, with Auburn winning that game. If you guys remember right, Auburn has Bruce Pearl coaching that team right now, I believe. Okay, between Auburn and ISU, I think Auburn is a little bit too much for ISU, so I give that win to Auburn. So in the Elite 8, I have Iowa facing Auburn. Okay. Again, this year, Iowa, whatever they do, they're not surprising me. In other brackets and other years, I would have been sensible and wouldn't even pick Iowa against Auburn. I would have picked Auburn hands down. But I'm gonna go with Iowa because they're surprising us and they're doing things that are amazing right now. And until otherwise said so, I'm picking them. And so I got them meeting Arizona in the um, Final Four, and then I've got on the other side of the bracket. Without going through everything, I've got Duke and Kentucky playing on the other side of the bracket for the title. I've got Kentucky playing Iowa for the title, and it, that would be great. I mean, it's very possible that could happen this year. I mean, all the experts are picking Iowa to get to the Final Four. And a couple of them actually gone out and said Iowa's your national champion this year. They just like the way Iowa's playing. And so, wow, man, that is such a compliment. It really is. To have so many key people, some famous people, and there's so many out there right now picking Iowa. But I think it would be kind of great for Iowa to play Kentucky and maybe have a healthy CJ Frederick on the floor against Iowa. That would be fun. I doubt if he's going to. CJ Frederick would come back this late in the season and blow his medical redshirt year because just coming in late in the season when he's been out most of the year. But I've seen some pictures and video of him. He looks like he's back to normal on as you jump ball and stuff. What I've seen, I don't know how true that is, but that would be cool if CJ could play against Iowa in that game. That would be kind of cool, and just kind of see how receptive are some of his former teammates are. I don't think it's unheard of that the McCaffrey boys were not happy. They felt betrayed when he left the team, and we're sure Fran feels betrayed because Fran won't speak on it. He won't even mention anything about it. So, um, but anyway, so I've got Iowa beating Kentucky for the national title, and I know it sounds like, well, God, you're a Hawkeye fan, you're a homer, you're going to run them all the way through the bracket. You know, I'll tell you what I do every year. Every year I do 3 or 4 brackets. At least one of them always has Iowa running the table. Just because I'm an Iowa fan. This would be one of this bracket I filled out. This is a bracket how I truly felt would iron things out. I didn't have a lot of upsets in this bracket. There's a few here and there. Uh, but this is the one. This is the year that I feel if Iowa was going to make the run, just like last year, I felt there was going to be a run through the tournament. This was the year it's going to happen, and so I really truly believe that it can happen this year. So that's the reason why I picked them all the way through, and I will probably. I don't know that I'll deviate on my other brackets that much from this either because I don't know for this year more than any other year. It seems like that this is the year where there's going to be very few upsets. And some years they're so upset so early that one person's one side of the bracket or two sides of their bracket is blown early, and so. But this is the year I just don't see that. I really don't. I mean, there's going to be a couple here and there. I've got a couple here and there, but like I said, not like you would see in any other year. Um, so that's the men's. So congratulations to your Iowa your NCAA national champions men. But now let's do the women's. And guys, I don't know much about the other women's teams out there. So I only worked on Iowa's bracket. I didn't work on the other bracket, and we'll explain what I did right there. So going through the women's bracket, they're going to be at home for their first 2 games. The first game they meet Illinois State. They should win that game. Next game, they're going to take on the winner of Colorado and Creighton. Creighton's a 10th seed, and Colorado's a 7th seed. I don't know why. I went with Creighton because Creighton's going to be playing closer to home than Colorado, so I think Creighton will have a few fans get into Carver Hawkeye for that game and cheer them on. Um, so I'm going to pick Creighton and then Iowa over Creighton. Um, as it would have, both the men and the women have ISU on their side of the brackets this year. Although you'll notice I didn't have ISU and Iowa men meeting in the tournament. Okay, and so Georgia wins over the play. Dayton DePaul. Okay, and Iowa State beats University of Texas at Arlington. So I got Iowa, Georgia winning that game, and Iowa State winning their game, with ISU winning Georgia game. Um, I got a lot of respect for the Iowa State women's team. I just think that they have those also have their first two games at home, and I think Hilton Magic carries them on. And so when we get to the Sweet 16 in Greensboro, though, I got Iowa versus ISU in a rematch. And if you guys remember right, I think ISU. I don't think that was a close game. Um, but that was early on in the season. The Iowa women, for some reason, didn't have their act together. They lost some players to COVID. They lost some to injuries, and I think one of them is actually one of those injured players got injured early in the season and has now decided to transfer. I think her name was Megan Reinschmidt or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. You guys are always feel free to correct me if I'm wrong because I do a lot of this on memory. Okay. So I got Iowa because they're playing so well at the end of the season. I got them beating the ISU women in the rematch to get to the Elite Eight. And then who will they meet in the Elite Eight? Well, let's find out. Okay, South Carolina women are the number one overall seed, which, that seems funny. That being the over, not a Tennessee, not a UConn. Anyway, we got South Carolina. Okay. Beating either Howard or UIW. Okay. And then so South Carolina will win that game. And then we got South Florida versus Miami. That's a 9 versus 8. I took the 9 seed, South Florida, to win that game. And then I've got North Carolina beating SFA and Arizona beating UNLV. All right. So I've got Arizona beating North Carolina to get to the Sweet 16. I got South Carolina beating South Florida for the Sweet 16. And South Carolina beating Arizona to get to the Elite Eight. And I got Iowa in the Elite Eight. That's as far as I went with the Iowa women's bracket. And I didn't do much with the other brackets right now. So I wanted to leave that one alone because I didn't know much about it. But when I go to fill out the brackets for real for my pools, I want to do a little homework on some of the rest of those teams to see where they're at. See if I can honestly get Iowa any further than the Elite Eight. But right now, I got them at the Elite Eight, meeting overall number one South Carolina. And if I had to pick it right now, I'd pick South Carolina over Iowa. But you never know. But I think my personal opinion is that Iowa's run will end in the Elite Eight in the women's game. So that's what I've got. What do you guys' take? There's comments. Please comment. Please like. Please follow. Please share. That's where we're at, and I'm just so excited for this. We've talked a little bit about the championship game for the men's and the brackets the way I feel right now for both, and so that's where we're at. I'm going to quickly end this, but I want to thank you guys for if you watch this far for watching. I appreciate it. There is no current live follower on here. There were people popping in and out, but I don't think anybody stayed more than a few seconds. So let's just end this and let's go. Okay. I don't know what this is popping up on my screen. So I'm going to end the stream and thank you. I'm going to try to do something all throughout the games for both teams. I will probably do it after both have played. Also, I believe this is the weekend, or is it next week? It might be next weekend of the wrestling. I want to do something with the wrestling, and I'm going to try to get a guest for that, guys. For that, I want to do something with the wrestling. We did that last year with Nolan and I. We brought on Chuck Yegla, and I thought it went very, very well. We brought him on for the Nationals, and we brought him on after the Nationals, and so I want to get somebody. I don't know if it'll be Chuck or somebody else. Because I haven't even talked to Chuck yet and see what his thoughts are yet. But you know what? We will find somebody to get the wrestling because I want to cover wrestling too, the wrestling nationals, and we have all 10 there. So okay, guys, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. And go Hawks! It's March Madness time. Let the madness begin.